He violently slams a massive steel-reinforced calculator onto the mahogany desk. A perfectly good 5-cent coin bounces off the keypad and rolls across the floor. The digital display flashes a glaring, blood-red negative sign. You are literally watching a government-sanctioned financial dumpster fire. He kicks a metal trash can, sending a shower of useless nickels across the room. Thick black smoke billows from a metaphorical chart showing national minting costs. 14 cents of raw material and labor go into a tiny piece of metal worth exactly 5 cents. He grabs a handful of coins and forcefully shoves them into a paper shredder. The machine groans and sparks fly out, rejecting the absurd economics. We are paying the universe for the privilege of losing money. A pristine printing press in the background rhythmically churns out more shiny discs. It costs $135 million a year to fund this absolute joke. He dramatically falls back into a leather chair, rubbing his temples in pure agony. A framed portrait of Thomas Jefferson stares down from the wall with a disapproving smirk. Money is supposed to facilitate trade, not aggressively sabotage the treasury. He leaps up and storms out through a heavy oak door. The hallway is lined with glass display cases holding ancient, forgotten currency. Dust motes dance in the sterile fluorescent light of the archive room. Long ago, these silver pieces were actually worth their weight in precious metal. He points an accusatory finger at an antique silver half-dime. But inflation, the invisible thief of wealth, crept into the system. A vintage movie ticket stub reading Nickelodeon slowly decays on a velvet cushion. You used to buy an entire evening of entertainment with one of these. Now you cannot even buy a single gumball. He aggressively shoves a shiny new nickel into a dusty vending machine. The machine clicks, whirs, and immediately spits the coin back out onto the linoleum. Even mindless robots refuse to accept this worthless garbage. He furiously presses the coin return button over and over. The value of the metal eventually eclipsed the number stamped on the front. Citizens realized the coins were worth more dead than alive. He pulls open a heavy iron furnace door in a dimly lit basement. Blistering orange heat washes over his sweating, frustrated face. People toss them into the fire, melting them down for pure, unadulterated profit. A puddle of liquid silver bubbles and pops inside the glowing crucible. The logical solution would be to simply stop minting the problematic coin. He throws his hands up in a gesture of utter disbelief. Instead, the brilliant minds in charge made melting them highly illegal. A heavy iron padlock snaps shut on a wooden chest of raw nickel ore. They doubled down on their own spectacular failure. The furnace roars in the background, consuming massive amounts of energy. He turns and marches up a spiral staircase onto a bustling city street. Rain begins to pour, washing the grime into the overflowing gutters. A cashier sighs heavily, digging through a register drawer for exact change. Customers behind her check their watches and groan in collective annoyance. Finding a 5-cent piece costs more in time than the coin is actually worth. He stares through the coffee shop window, tapping a coin on the wet glass. It is a net negative transaction for human existence. A neon sign flickers on and off, casting red shadows on the wet pavement. If an asset performs this terribly, you cut your losses and run. He pulls a weathered history book from a street vendor's cart. The damp pages flip open to a chapter on the year 1857. America used to have a spine when it came to killing useless money. He forcefully jabs the page featuring the extinct half-cent. A tiny copper disc sits forgotten in the margins of history. When it died, it had more buying power than today's dime. We slaughtered the 3-cent trime without a second thought. He slams the heavy book shut, sending water droplets flying into the air. Society did not instantly collapse into anarchy. The sun breaks through the clouds, reflecting off a puddle on the asphalt. We survived the death of the penny's little brother. He starts walking briskly toward a towering bank building. Revolving glass doors spin continuously, swallowing a stream of busy professionals. Nixing the nickel is the only mathematically sound path forward. An electronic stock ticker above the entrance scrolls bright green numbers. Rounding every cash transaction to the nearest 10 saves everyone precious time. He stops dead in his tracks in the middle of the marble lobby. A massive vault door stands open, revealing stacks of uncirculated quarters. But eliminating fives leaves a gaping hole for the quarter. A shiny 25-cent piece catches the gleam of a halogen spotlight. You cannot easily round a 10 when your flagship coin ends in 5. He crosses his arms, staring intensely at the gleaming mountain of silver. We could bring back the giant, clunky $half. An oversized silver coin suddenly drops from a chute, echoing loudly in the vault. It is far too heavy and ruins the drape of a good suit. He immediately kicks the $half away in disgust. The quarter is an American icon, perfectly balanced and universally accepted. A vending machine in the corner glows invitingly, perfectly tuned for 25 cents. It actually makes the government money to print them, so we face the ultimate terrifyingly logical conclusion. He slowly raises his head, a sinister and brilliant smile spreading across his face. The polished marble floor reflects his unhinged expression perfectly. Do not wait for inflation to humiliate the 10-cent piece. A tiny, insignificant dime rolls pathetically into a floor drain and disappears forever. Kill the nickel today and brutally execute the dime tomorrow. He throws his leather briefcase into the air in a moment of pure liberation. Important papers rain down like confetti over the stacks of victorious quarters. The system of fifths is superior, elegant, and ready to dominate. A security guard rushes over, completely bewildered by the chaotic scene. We can finally stop paying millions to manufacture our own poverty. He walks away from the mess, whistling a cheerful, victorious tune.